if I could just get you to speak a bit about the climate change. What do you see as the greatest obstacle in solving the climate crisis?
Two major obstacles. One is, of course, the fossil fuel companies. Second is the governments of the world, including Europe and the United States. We've just seen that very dramatically just in the last month. On August 9th, the IPCC, the International Scientists Organization, issued its latest analysis of the climate situation. I'm sure you've seen it. It was a very dire warning, much more than before. It said message basically was we have two choices. We can either start right now, cutting back on fossil fuel use, do it systematically every year until we phase them out by mid-century. That's one choice. The other choice is cataclysm, the end of organized human life on Earth. Not immediately, we'll just reach irreversible tipping points and goes on to disaster. Those are the options. How did the great powers react? Well, the day after the IPCC report, Joe Biden issued an appeal to the OPEC cartel to increase production. Europe chimed in by calling on all producers, including Russia, to increase production. This is a response to the IPCC warning that we have to start reducing right now. That's for political reasons, for profit for the oil companies. Political reasons is they want the price reduced. It's better for them. Joe Biden, the gas price is high, it harms his electoral prospects. Well, that's the reaction. You read the business press right now, major business press in the world, big discussion going on. What's the best way to increase production? Is it through the American shale oil fracking industry, or is it through OPEC? But how can we increase production best? That's the business press. Turn to the petroleum journals. Euphoric. We've just found new fields to exploit. Demand is going up. That's great. Well, let's go to the US Congress. The Biden program, under pressure from young activists, the Sanders movement, and so on, the program actually is a big improvement on any previous one on paper. Not wonderful, but much better than anything else. That's the program. Well, the current negotiations in Congress taking place right now over the what's called the reconciliation bill, initiated by Bernie Sanders, cut back very sharply from Sanders's proposals. It's a very valuable bill. It somewhat reverses the huge assault on the population during the neoliberal era. That's a topic in itself. But it's very much needed in the United States, and it's very popular among the population. They like it, including Republicans, incidentally. They all favor it. The kinds of things that Europe takes for granted, like child care, maternity leave, paid vacations, things that are normal in Europe are improved. They don't exist in the United States, but they're a slight move in that direction. So it's very popular, except with Congress. The Republicans are 100% opposed. Nothing. Won't accept anything. The Democrats do have a swing vote. The so-called moderate Democrats, who should be called ultra-reactionaries, are the swing votes. One of them is the head of the Senate Energy Committee. Also happens to be the champion in Congress of receiving funding from the fossil fuel industry, which is quite an achievement because they pay off everyone. But he's the champion. His name is Joe Manchin. He has a policy, he's made it explicit. It's taken from the playbook of the oil companies. It says, he made it very clear. He said, no elimination, only innovation. So no cutback of the use of fossil fuels. If you can make up something new, it's okay. So he's blocking it. There are climate change provisions in it. They were already out, blocked. Probably won't allow anything else either. So the whole proposal's probably doomed. But on climate change, it's already taken out. Well, go to Europe, it varies. There are some countries like Denmark, for example, which are moving towards renewable energy pretty significantly. Others vary. But when it comes to the crunch, telling the oil companies, the producers right now what to do, Europe is, as far as I know, unified in saying increase production. Right after the warning, we have to start decreasing production. That's the world we live in.
Well, considering this, do you think it's possible to find solutions at the scale and time we need within the capitalist system?
Very simple, straightforward. There are very careful, detailed proposals that have been worked out, even by the International Energy Agency, which is a producer-based group. Detailed proposals, others by a number of economists, very good economists. One of them's my co-author, Robert Pollin, Jeffrey Sachs at Columbia. Using different models, they all come up with the same results. There are perfectly feasible measures to meet the IPCC goals and at the same time make a better world, better jobs, better living conditions, improvement of the nature of the society. It's all possible. Furthermore, it's well known. The leaders in Europe who are calling for increased production know it perfectly well if they're literate. And it's within maybe 2 to 3% of GDP, easily manageable. It's actually less than what the US Treasury spent to bail out the financial institutions during the current crisis. Easily within range, a tiny fraction of what was spent during World War II. But problem is, can you get the will to do it? It's not going to come from the leadership. It's going to have to come from mass popular action. And the scandal, tragedy is that that's coming from only young people. The climate strike a couple of weeks ago, young people. The Sunrise Movement in the United States, which impelled the Biden administration to at least adopt a reasonable proposal on paper. It's young people. When Greta Thunberg stands up at the Davos meeting and says, "You have betrayed us," exactly right. She got polite applause, and then they said, "Nice little girl, why don't you go back to school?" Interesting reaction. We'll take care of it. You know? But it can be done, but it's going to take plenty of effort and energy. There are major problems. Actually, today, this morning, they reported an IMF study that came out yesterday, International Monetary Fund, tried to estimate the subsidies that are being given to the fossil fuel companies. Their estimate is about $11 million a day of subsidies, mostly by the rich countries, to the fossil fuel industry. Some of them are direct, others are indirect, like by underestimating the costs of the use of fossil fuels. That's a pretty significant sum. It's going on every day. Well, those are the battles that have to be waged. There'll be one in Glasgow at the COP26 meetings in a couple of weeks, and then it goes on. It has to be unrelenting, constant. Where there is, the whole neoliberal period was basically class war. Had nothing to do with the markets or anything else, just class war. And this is another form. Do we want to hand our future of our children, our grandchildren, into the hands of elements that want to make as much profit as possible and don't care what happens tomorrow? That's one choice. The other choice is to move on to a livable and better world. And it's not going to be an easy struggle.